Greetings, 9th and 10th graders. This is Mr. Moscarelli. We're going to talk about the resume rubric for 9th and 10th grade, so that way you have a sparkling rubric for your end of year tour. I'm going to begin with the end, which is where's all that info that I shared with you already? You can use this link here, bit.ly/phs_resume, or just log into the Richer Picture system and click on the big I button, and you will have access to it there. I will show you what the doc looks like. It looks like this. How to create your resume. And again, playlists of all the videos, examples of resumes, etc., all right in there for your viewing pleasure. All right, so let's get into it. There are two lines to the resume rubric that you're going to be scored on. And what you'll see here is in the first line or row, this is the detail piece. We're going to come back to that in a second. The second one is basically you answering two questions. One is, does your resume show any examples or evidence of connecting your experiences, your work, your skills to post-secondary goals? And it very well may not, and that's okay, and you can say that. But we're also going to ask about you planning to improve your resume. And so you can improve all of the things up here that we're going to talk about in a minute, about formatting and what kind of words and verbs you use and things like that. But another way to improve your resume is to start thinking about, again, what do you possibly want to do when you grow up? And you may have a laser focus or no focus. Can you gain some of those skills or experiences or knowledge that might connect to that? So it could be very direct. I want to volunteer in a blank place to get the skills because someday I want to work in that place. That's specific. Or if you want to go into leadership somehow in the future and be the manager of others, you could just do leadership activities within a club or activity in our clubs or activities in our school. So it could be simple things like skills that connect. All right. So this comes after you have actually put in your resume. Let's blow this up for a second. And the first thing I want to show you is that the resume must be uploaded. So what does that look like? On the Richer Picture system, when you go to the resume tab, you're going to click on the upload artifact button. Notice here, prompts are on the left. There's some places to enter information below, but they start with uploading the artifact. Now you can, please do not use an image. Don't take a picture of your resume and upload it. That's just not acceptable. A web link, so you just go to Google Drive and copy the URL. Just make sure, again, it's viewable by anybody in FG schools. Same thing with sharing from Google Drive. That's fine. In my case here, I'm just selecting a file computer somewhere in here. I have a example. Very nice. So this is an example of a resume. Once I upload it, there it is. Does not look great. Okay, so that's all you need to do is to upload your resume. Super, super, super simple. So let's get into the actual details a little bit. First up, you have to have these 4 sections. They must be very clear and present, but they can be empty and only used as a placeholder. Now, you cannot have an empty contact info section or skills or education. Let me talk about why. Because those sections, contact info is your address and your phone number, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's, you know those things. So make sure you have them. We say by the end of senior year, you should have an email that's feeling a little bit more professional than Elon's the best 22. So have a good, solid personal email in there. You do not necessarily have to make one in 9th and 10th grade, but just think about that. You can name your skills. And one way to do that is to look at U Science because it's giving you lots of descriptors of you. So think about the skills that you're good at. In terms of experience, now this one might be empty. If you have not had any significant volunteer work or employment, et cetera, then you may not have experience. That could just be blank underneath, but leave the title there. Education, you're getting a fine one here upon against it, so make sure you put that in. At this point, we don't really need your middle school, to be honest. So, but if you've been to multiple high schools, if you transferred or something, then you could include multiple high schools. But education, high school only is great. And then this is an optional one, awards and activities. And you can, for now, just put activities. If you're a member of a club or something like that, you could put activities in. And these would be school-based things more, things where you're not necessarily like doing significant work. An activity could become an experience if you're really like leading the way, doing a lot of stuff. So that's a little fuzzy, but if you're, again, like a member of the yearbook club, or let's say, or you had something published in a newspaper or whatever it is, then that could be under awards and activities. All right, so the first section is the most straightforward. And one more time, the only one that really could be empty here is experience, but leave the title there. All right, so now let's talk about the characteristics. And I'm going to do that by going back to these examples. So I didn't mention it before, but I just pasted these two kind of descriptors over here. Obviously, these would not be part of a resume. So let's talk about them by looking at one that's not so good. So poor Elon here does not have the best of resumes. And if you look here at is error free, well, first of all, I'm running Grammarly. You can run a spell check. It's going to show you all kinds of spelling mistakes along the way. So that's clearly not acceptable. Formatting, what you'll notice here, this is all caps. This is not all caps. Back to all caps. Not all caps. That's not good formatting. You can see here the font kind of changes from here to here. It literally changes if you look at the font. That's not good. There are a couple other ones in here. We're not going to spend time on it, but make sure your formatting is super solid. Strong action verbs. The best example here is they're just all these. Notice how they start with a nice, strong action verb. And they don't have to be crazy, it kind of, they just need to be specific, I guess, as specific as possible. So that's what we're looking for in terms of action and verbs. And applying reverse chronological order where appropriate. Again, may not get there quite this year, but if you did something, earlier, a year or so ago, and then a little bit more recently up to the present, then it goes in reverse chronological order. So the things that you're still doing now are going to be the ones that show up at the top. Is concise and uses phrasing, line spacing, and a font size to be approximately one length. The key there is it's 1 page in length. And if you go to view, make sure you're in print layout, you'll see that this one just barely fits in at the bottom of the page, which is great. And so as long as it fits in 1 page, that's good. And, looks pretty good, not too kind of squashed. That's great. And part of the reason why it is this way is this person balanced and didn't have, a giant font. So this here is size 11 font, and they wanted to make their name pop, so they went to 24. Obviously, if it just went over by a little bit, then they could maybe reduce their name size a little bit. You can play with if I go to page setup, play with the margins a little bit. This one has huge margins on the right, but if you're running out of room, you could just reduce those a little bit, make them a little smaller. And then things like this particular line, see where editor kind of falls over to the next line, you could just extend your margin a little bit and suddenly that wouldn't be there. Although in this case, it's because I have a big photo. Anyway, what else do we have here? I think last one is actually not for you. The idea of being print ready and ready to share with potential employers, that shows up for juniors and seniors. So on your list for your rubric, your job ultimately is to make sure you demonstrate all 5 characteristics below. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some hints or tricks. So watch your tense, present tense for current things that you're doing and past tense for past ones. Again, spelling and capitalization counts, so does grammar, but no need for full sentences. You can use phrases, and if you have a couple phrases in a row, you separate them with semicolons. Try to get it into 1 page. It doesn't need to fit in a Post-it note, but again, if you keep your font size moderate and your margins moderate, it'll fit in 1 page. Use your results from UScience. It will give you lots of terms, description skills that you have, so you can lean on those a little bit. Use strong action verbs and brief phrases. You can just Google strong action verbs, or you can use this list here to help be as specific as possible. And things like responsible for serving customers can be reduced down to things like serve customers. It's much more active, and it takes up less space. So as of now, I really strongly suggest in 9th and 10th grade, you stick with the template that we've given you. If you're going to choose a different one, please choose very carefully, because some of them are better for certain kinds of jobs and positions and experiences and activities than others. Again, where is all this info? You can use this link here or click on the info page. And that's it, people. Make it a sparkling day.